Tet is nothing more than the Chinese New Year.
Falling on the first week of the first month of the lunar calendar, Tet is a time of leisure, renewal, and integration that solidifies family. Tet is essential to Vietnamese culture and is considered the most important holiday on the lunar calendar.
They clean out their homes, and the priest comes, the Buddhist priest comes, and he shoots fireworks off, and that supposedly scares off the evil spirits. But then they throw feasts like a street fair. The Vietnamese have great big crock pots sitting outside their door. They have fermented fish in there. It's called nuoc vam. And nuoc vam is something that I don't know that I can describe it, but it's very difficult to eat. And of course, we would go as part of our community outreach into the villages and have a meal with these people, and we'd be sitting there eating the nuoc vam and doing all we could do to keep it down. They brewed beer from the French days. It was horrible beer, by the way, but anyway, it was called bam de bam. It was 333. So when you went through a village, put up 3 fingers, that meant you wanted a beer. Bam de bam. So the Lunar New Year period of time, that was perhaps the most respected period of ceasefire between the combatant forces. The war had become very organized and was much more brutal, much more focused in destroying the enemy and, from their point of view, they us.
It was this brutal mentality in 1968 that led to one of the most astonishing turning points of the Vietnam War.
That was the period of time that the Vietnamese, the bad guys, North Vietnamese army chose to start an offensive. I mean, it really caught us off guard.
By September of 1967, the Vietnam War had reached a stalemate. The ruthless general of the North Vietnamese army, in combination with the Viet Cong, communist civilian insurgents, prepared an offensive to regain the initiative of the war. It started on January 30th, 1968. By the next night, 27 of South Vietnam's 44 capitals, 5 out of 6 autonomous cities, 58 out of 245 district towns, and more than 50 hamlets were under fire. The North Vietnamese captured and held many cities for 3 weeks. However, by then the Americans had regrouped from the uprising and fought back, but not without reservations. From America's perspective, the Tet Offensive shattered the assurances that the war was almost over.
There were hours and hours of very boring periods of time, and then there were seconds of sheer terror.
1 year after the infamous offensive in 1968, the combined forces of the North Vietnamese and the Viet Cong struck again.
And we were prepared for it to happen in 1969, thus it was nowhere near as badly effective against the Americans, but we had an extremely difficult time.
So who won this horrendous fight?
Tet ultimately became the largest victory we ever had. But unfortunately, it was such a spontaneous uprising, it was portrayed as being a victory for the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese. It was not.
With an offensive as significant as Tet, one cannot escape the burdens of war.
I would like to have thought that perhaps some of the Marines that were with me that were hurt would not have been. I think I would like to think that we were more effective than we ultimately were. But all that being said, I'm very proud of what we did. Leading a group of people in times of stress, of combat, where you each are interdependent on each other, creates a bond and a feeling that is very, very difficult to describe. It is even more intense, I think, than a marriage relationship. As you literally are entrusting your life with others and they with you. So that became a very intense thing.
Dedicated to my grandfather, Major Robert Yost.